Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today back working on the Monarch 612 lathe, and we're getting in the short rows, I think, on getting this thing finished up. Right now, I want to work on my chip pan. That's kind of the next thing on here. I got a few little small odds and ends that need to still be done onto it. But I need to get this thing painted where it kind of matches. Fortunately, previously, a long time ago, we got this paint stripped off of it, and it's more or less ready for paint other than getting a good cleaning because it's gotten dirty on the inside again. But before I do, I want to see if I can kind of straighten out this front lip. It's supposed to be straight, but over years, looks like people have been climbing on it or whatever, and it's just kind of bent down. I don't know how easy this is going to be, but we're going to try to straighten that out a little bit and see if we can make it look a little bit nicer before we paint it. Let's see what we can do. Hopefully you can kind of see what's going on. This should be straight up through here, but it's kind of weld's been broken here on the end. It's kind of bent forward a little bit. Like I said, I think people have been climbing on it over the years or whatever. Let's see what we can do. I don't know how much trouble this is going to be. My thought here is if I can get some leverage on this, maybe use something like this and a hammer and just kind of bang it out. This is some pretty thick sheet metal. It's not going to bend very easy, but let's see what we can do. Well, guys, I'm pretty happy with what we got here on this front leading edge. It is not perfect by any means, but I don't know that I have the tools, the equipment, and the patience to get this thing perfect, but it is a lot better than what it was. At least it's not near as noticeably out as it was. I also welded the ends up that were broken on these and took the grinder and kind of ground them down so they looked decent. I'm happy with the way this looks. It's a chip pan, but it looks a heck of a lot better than it did. Next, get out the rags and the mineral spirits, go to wiping this thing down and getting it ready for a coat of paint. Again, fortunately, it's already been stripped of its old paint. I just need to give it a good cleaning and put a coat of paint on this thing, and hopefully be ready to go back underneath there after that paint cures and dries. Just got some good old-fashioned mineral spirits here, and start wiping this thing down. It was clean at one point, but it's been sitting up underneath that machine now for several years, and oil's been dripping on it and what have you. So we're going to get it cleaned back up real good and ready for a coat of paint. It's got a bottom in here for coolant. I do have the coolant pump that came on it. I haven't tested it to see if it works. We may try to get that going. It'd be nice to have coolant on this machine. There's a bottom that fits down in here. I just pulled that out for painting purposes. I'm probably not going to paint that bottom. It's just stays full of crud all the time anyway. But it's kind of designed. It's got these screens where the coolant goes in one end and it screens it out before it goes back into the coolant pump and pumps back out again. So I'm not worried about down in this bottom. I just want to get basically from the pan up, painted on the inside and of course all the outside. All right, let me go to work on this. I'll be back in a little bit. All right, now comes the fun job of painting this thing. We're just going to go ahead and put a coat in here. I'm going to start with the inside just so I don't have to bend over this thing while to paint where the outside's already done. think we got it painted. Nothing to do now but let the paint dry. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I'm about to be on the road for a while for work. So it's going to be really probably about a week before I get back in the shop. So that'll give this time, plenty of time to cure, and we can get it down and back up underneath the lathe. And hopefully when I get back, I'm going to have some of the little parts that I've got ordered to kind of finish this thing up in, and hopefully we can put the nail in the coffin on this lathe and give her a spin, try her out. We're really, really close to being there. So there you go. We're gonna let this paint dry. We'll bring you back. It'll be about a week passes before the video picks back up, but in the magic of YouTube, it'll be just a few seconds. Well, we got the chip tray painted and back up under the machine. So this is where it's gonna be, it's where it's gonna live. And I think we got all the painting on this project done now, so which is good. We can kind of move on. I've got a couple of small little things we need to do to this to kind of wrap up the carriage here. I need to put the handles in here. I need to put the way wipers back on, and so there's probably a couple other things I'm not thinking of, but we're gonna go ahead and get work on that. Let's work on this right here and get these handles on this knob. So we did rebuild the compound and do some work on this. That's the maximum length right there. One thing I wanted to do was to get a little bit of leverage on this. Most of these compounds on the handle here, you got a knob or sometimes two knobs. They kind of just give you a little bit of leverage while you're turning this. This one you just kind of dial in on the handle and it turns pretty good, but you got an adjustable piece on here where you can adjust your zero. And the problem you run into is if you grab a hold of that and turn it, you might overpower that and actually move that. So having some handles out here I think will help. So what I did was I just ordered a couple of these from McMaster Car that will just press right in. And that's what, again, most of these have on them. For whatever reason, this one doesn't. So I want to pull this off, and I've got two of these. We're going to put one on each side, and that right there will give me something to kind of get leverage on. And that's the way most compounds are. So we'll pull this little nut off the end, use that spanner wrench, and this should just come right off. There we go. And that's going to be, it's not going to go all the way through. It's not too long to go all the way through, so we're good there. I'm going to put two holes in here. Let me figure out what size. It's a press fit. Let me figure out what size hole we need. I'm going to drill two holes in here and we'll press these this handle in. So I'm just using a center finder here on a combination square, and we're just going to mark the center of that. I'm actually going to mark it in both directions, I think. My experience with this thing is that your pin doesn't go right to the center, so you kind of end up with a area in between there. That's the exact center. And I'm just going to take a center punch and we will punch those, and I'm going to go drill those out. Just going to kind of eyeball the center there. And we'll take a center punch here. All right. I'm over at the drill press. These holes need to be 1/4 inch, and it's going to be a press fit. So I'm actually drilling this one size smaller, and I'm going to ream it about a 1/2 thou under size, and that should allow that press fit here. So we'll just go right here on the, let's see, I need to tighten up my drill bit a little bit. It's slipping. There we go. Go ahead and get these drilled out. Some hard metal. All right. Go ahead and drill the other side while we got this bit in here. Now I'm going to swap over to my reamer. And this reamer is 249.5 thousandths. So it's basically a half a thou under the 1/4 inch that will be that the size of the stem is. So this should give us a press fit. So we'll just go ahead and ream that out. Okay, that's one side. And that's the other. All right, we're ready to go press these in. Over here at the arbor press, and we're just going to put a little red Loctite on these just because. We'll line that one up and press her in. All right, number one in. Let's do the second side. Press her in. There we go. Now, that should be a little more usable, I do believe. See if we can put this back on here now. That in there. Our nut. One back in there. All right. Now, I got some leverage on there. Oh, that's so much better. This is still a little bit tight. I probably need to make some adjustments to my gib still, but that is going to work a lot better. I'll play with the adjustments on that in a little bit. I got a few other little things I want to get done here real quick. So another thing I'll note here is there's a there was in this oils or greases are here on the side. People have been putting grease on this compound. This should have whey oil in it. I replaced that grease zerk with this little oiler cap here. Then I come in here with a little squirt gun. There's a little ball detent right here that you push in, if I can get it in there. And you just squirt in there. It's full of oil right now. But that has little passages that go up to the ways on both sides and keep that bottom of that oiled. A lot of people don't realize it, but on these older machines, it was very common to use a zerk, like we use with a grease gun, but use oil with it. And a lot of people see those zerks and say, oh, we put grease in there. This is not a situation where you want to use grease, you want to use oil. As long as we're putting in oilers, there's a couple places on this tailstock where there was originally some little caps that would screw off that you could put oil in. I can't find a replacement for those. I don't think anybody makes them, but I did find some of these little oilers here. Again, they're spring loaded that you just kind of push in and come out. Oh, evidently Ginger wants to get up here with us. I'm going to just drive these in place and just use a block of wood. There we go. All right, that'll keep trash and stuff from getting down inside these holes, but we can still put oil in them. This hole here, by the way, I know someone's going to make a comment about it. There was originally a little dauber that went down in this. It was just a little piece that had a little tab in the bottom. And what you would do back in the old days before we had live centers, you would use a dead center to spin on. You would put a little bit of grease in here, and you would daub your little live center with or your dead center with that grease, and that would lubricate it while it spins. In today's world, we have live centers that have a bearing in it that spins. It's kind of not something that's very useful anymore, but back when this lathe was made new, those weren't as common, so it had that. I'll show you an example of one that's not the same size as this one, but shows you what it kind of looked like. So this one was on my 10EE lathe, and it actually fits on this one too. It may be the same part, but you can kind of see what it looked like. It was just a little thing. Like I said, you'd put grease down there that would just sit here. You would take that out. You would dab some on your dead center, and it just kind of stayed there. Unfortunately, this one is MIA, but that's what an original one looked like on a 10EE lathe. So next thing I've got here are the way wipers that mount on the different places over there. And basically what this is there's a little piece of felt that fits up in these, and it just wipes as the saddle moves back and forth, or the tailstock moves back and forth, or whatever. It keeps trash from getting up underneath the ways, and it also, these get coated with oil, and it basically serves as a wick and kind of keeps a little layer of oil on the ways. So it kind of serves dual purpose. I'm replacing the felts on these. This one's not bad. A lot of these are bad. I'm just going to put new felt. I just ordered a block of felt here from McMaster Car, and I'm just going to cut this stuff out. We'll just kind of trace the originals like such and kind of cut these things out so that we can replace them and put them in there. So that will go up there and replace that one. I'm just going to get all these cut out, and we should be ready to go put these in. All right, we got our new felts cut. We're ready to go install these. So I got some socket cap screws that we'll use to screw these on and have that knocked out. All right, we should be ready to go here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pre-soak these in some whey oil. Just kind of preloads them. You want these to stay saturated. All right, that should work. And this cover just kind of fits right like that. Get a rag. All right, we'll get this one, first one started there. Get our second one in here going. And we'll just tighten that in place. All right, that one's in. Get this one here next. This one's a flat wiper. All right, then we got this one back here. Same thing again. We'll pre-soak it here with some whey oil. And we'll bolt her on. All right, we got the 3 identical ones to go on the other side, and then I got the ones on the tailstock. I'll get those put on. I'll show the tailstock one here when we get to it. Same thing back here on the tailstock. We'll kind of get these things preloaded with some oil here. And this one goes across both sides. All right, we got the same thing that goes on the back. And I think we'll have all our whey wipers on. Well, this Monarch 612 lathe is getting really, really close to being ready to use. Really only got really 2 more things to do. The big thing that we've got left to do is to get a quick change tool post mounted on this. I've got one. I've got an Aloris DA quick change tool post. I need to take it apart, clean it, service it. It's an old one. It's one that I bought used, and I just want to go through it good. I need to make a clamp to go in here. It's missing the stud and the nut that tightens it down and some other things. So that's probably going to be a video in itself. But once we get that done, I think we're going to be ready to actually use the machine. The other thing that I do need to get done is when this lathe was new and when it came to me, it had a Trabon automatic lubricating system on it that basically oiled the saddle and everything along with it. That unfortunately was not working, and it was a basket case, and I ended up just taking it off. I've got a one-shot oiler. It's an automatic oiler that will be wired in. It'll just automatically put a little squirt of oil every now and then into the machine. I got one of those ordered. It has not come in yet, and I need to get that hooked up on here as well. I can use the lathe without that, but I want to get that on here sooner than later just so that we can make sure everything is properly lubricated. So those are really the only two things that I'm really aware of. And I got a job we need to do on this. So we're going to be trying to get that knocked out pretty quickly so that we can get this machine in use and do the first job that I'm going to do on it. This machine's done a lot of work over the years, but this will be the first time that I've used it once we get to that stage. So guys, with that, I think that's going to be a wrap on where we are today. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted. And as always, a big, huge thank you to the folks that subscribe to the channel, as well as those who support the channel financially through Patreon and PayPal, etc. It really helps out and makes it possible for me to take the time to shoot the videos and edit the videos and everything that goes along with that. Guys, with that, we're going to sign off. Catch you on the next video. Again, thanks for watching.